And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of the Druids Dozen. My name's John Wisby. I'm also known as the Rock Druid. I'm a radio DJ. I present a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio in Bristol, 93.2 FM. And I do the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth. And basically these videos are just me raiding my quite substantial record collection, dragging out a dozen albums, 6 on vinyl, 6 on CD today, and I'm going to wave in front of the camera and chat about each one for about 3 or 4 minutes. So yeah, let's pass straight in, and we'll start with vinyl as always, and I'll reach over here and I'll pull out this one, and there is the front. It is of course Second Helpings by Lynyrd Skynyrd. There is the back, and I don't think there's any inserts or in the sleeves. No, not on this one, there isn't. Yeah, Lynyrd Skynyrd, classic southern boogie, southern rockers. But this is their second album, came out, oh, gotta get me glasses, forgot me bins again, always forgetting them. 1974, yeah. Hot on the heels of their probably their best known album, their debut, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. This one was the follow-up. Probably best known for Sweet Home Alabama, which unfortunately is one of these songs that's on that band list of mine that's on I do for my radio shows, because you know you don't need to hear it again. Same with Freebird, you heard it so many times. But just because one track gets overexposed doesn't mean this isn't a this isn't a good album. En contraire, my friends, this is a very good album. Probably my favourite Skynyrd album, this one. Besides the opening cut, the aforementioned Sweet Home Alabama and its two finger salute to Neil Young. You know, there's tracks like Don't Ask Me No Questions, Working for MCA, Swamp Music, cover of JJ Cale's Call Me the Breeze, and my favourite Lynyrd Skynyrd song of all time, The Ballad of Curtis Lowe, tribute to an old blues singer that the guys used to know back in their Alabama sort of homestead days. Yeah, a great album. Just like most Lynyrd Skynyrd stuff, it's kind of bluesy, it's boogie. There's some fantastic triple guitar interplay on here. Ronnie Van Zant's vocals, pretty damn good. One of the best southern rock vocalists of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, some fantastic kind of boogie piano from Billy Powell. Overall, just a great record. You know, I know some of you young'uns may not have really taken much notice of Lynyrd Skynyrd, but I recommend that you do go check them out. And yeah, any of their albums are pretty good, but I'll say this one's a good place to start, as is the one before it, pronounced. So yeah, number 1, Second Helpings by Lynyrd Skynyrd, corking record. And we go from there, we're going to have a CD next. Now this has got a promo sticker on the front, which I'm not going to remove. But there's the front. This is Bitten by the Beast by Dave Rock Feinstein. There's the front. There's the back. Open it up. There's Mr. Feinstein himself. There's the disc. There's nothing of interest behind the disc, I don't think. Oh, there's a little kind of stylized crossy thing here. Reach into this little compartment here. Whoops, a daisy, drop the disc. Rather than a booklet, it's got a fold out kind of thingy that on this side has the album credits and the front cover of the record. B-side, so the flip side, big picture of Mr. Feinstein himself. And it's quite often I get with these. There's the press release and all the details. Now, Dave Feinstein, great rock guitarist, metal guitarist, heavily underrated in my opinion. Started out with a band called Ronnie Dio and the Prophets, a little kind of band. I can't remember where the states they were from originally, but a little band with a singer, a little diminutive lead singer that went on to become quite well known. They kind of transmuted into the Electric Elves and became Elf. Now, as Elf, with of course with Johnny Jones Dio on vocals and Dave Rock Feinstein, ended up touring supporting Deep Purple around about the time that Deep Purple had issued the Burn album. And by this point Richie Blackmore was wanting to go and do his own thing, and basically he recruited the entire lineup of Elf to become Rainbow. Now, the exception being, you know, Richie Blackmore wasn't a guitarist that worked with other guitarists very well. Rumour has it he doesn't work with other musicians very well, but yeah, as the rest of Elf went off to become Rainbow, Mr. Feinstein found himself at a loose end. Moving to New York to make a fresh start, he put together a band called the Rods, who became pretty good in their own right. Bit cult undergroundy maybe. I still have a few of their albums around here somewhere, but still a cracking album, and still an ongoing project to this day. Mr. Feinstein here does Rod stuff, and he does his solo work as well. Now, he kept in touch with his old mates from Elf, including Ronnie James Dio. And when was this? 2010 this came out, so it was 2009 the recording. Basically, conversation with Mr. Dio went that would he like to do a guest vocal slot on this album. Mr. Dio said yes, and they ended up recording a song together called Metal Never Dies. That was the last recording Ronnie James Dio ever did before he sadly left us for the great gig in the sky. And it came out on this album. So, you know, if you're looking for the last ever Dio recordings, released recordings so far, there may be some others after, I don't know, but you've got to get this album. And yeah, Metal Never Dies is the cut. Corking song. Good air, punchy. Dio is doing one fantastic vocal performance. As I said, Mr. Feinstein here, hell of a guitarist. He's not so much a shred and whittler, but he can make it scream, he can make it cry, he can make it talk, he can make it rock like a bastard. The other tracks on here are pretty damn good as well. Gambler, Smoke on the Horizon, The Evil in Me, Kill the Demon, Rock's Boogie, Give Me Mercy, Run for Your Life. Everyone's a bit of a corker. Yeah, and sadly, even though this contains Mr. Dio's farewell performance, you know, it was overlooked at the time, which is a shame. There's a lovely little insert on here. It goes that this album is dedicated to the memory of Ronnie James Dio, my friend, my comrade, my blood, to the man on the silver mountain. Let his vision and magic live on in us all. Oh, quite emotional saying that. But yeah, never met Ronnie James Dio, but I shook his hand. This is the hand that shook hands with Ronnie James Dio. I haven't washed it since. Poor. Anyway, no, they're genuine actually. But I was at the NEC in Birmingham when he was doing the Dehumanizer tour with Sabbath. I was in the front row. Yay! Shake hands with Mr. Dio at the end. Happy moment. Anyway, but this is a great album. Highly recommend that you try and check it out. Give it a listen if you don't actually go and buy it. because, like I said, not only for Dio's farewell performance, but for just being a great rock album, this is worth every penny. So yeah, Bitten by the Beast, Dave Rock Feinstein, corking record. Sit that in there, and we'll have something obscure next. You pause this out. This is Night of the Lusty Queen by a band called Destroyers. Now, there's the front, with some rather interesting artwork. I quite like it, but a bit controversial. There's the back, looking a little bit amateurish, but I'll forgive that as I'm about to explain. And then the inner sleeve with the English lyrics. Now, I say English lyrics because this album is sung entirely in Polish, and but the lyrics given on the inner sleeve are sort of like English translations. Now, the Destroyers, band out of Warsaw in Poland, and this album was recorded in 1988, round about the time of Solidarity, Lech Wałęsa and the fall of communism. The band actually started under the towards the tail end of the communist regime, and you know, back then apparently it was quite being in a band in Poland was quite a feisty thing. You either had to register and sing government approved lyrics, or you were kind of playing private parties in basements and hoping that the police didn't show up, which was where these guys came from. Now, musically, they're an interesting blend, because you're talking about a time when Poland's sort of music scene was so far underground it had been buried by the communist revolution. You know, I've got Polish friends now telling me that back in those days they were reliant on broadcast from West Berlin and Scandinavia to pick up their music, and you know, very rarely did bands kind of venture into Poland. I think Marillion did it, I think Iron Maiden did a couple of gigs, but just a couple of bands and that was it. And even then their tours were heavily controlled, and most of the tickets went to the party faithful, not the genuine people. However, you know, there was an underground metal scene. Let's say people were playing in basements and, you know, Tascam 4-track studios, and as the communism regime began to kind of wobble and fall, they began to come out of the closet. And one of the first bands to emerge and release anything were this lot, the Destroyers. Stylistically, they're a little bit kind of proto-death, bit thrash. You know, it's the kind of stuff that, you know, because some of Poland's best known bands are bands like Vader and Behemoth. There's elements of that in here, but there's also elements of thrash and kind of new wave of British heavy metal. It's a very naive album, and the production quality is not brilliant. You know, it does sound it's been produced, to quote Monty Python, by putting it on a bit of wood and banging some nails into it. But, you know, that's not a bad thing, and that is completely understandable considering, you know, you're building a music scene and industry from scratch at the time. Let's have a look. You've got a guy called Mark on lead vocals and bass. You've got a guy called Adam on lead guitar, and Wojtek on drums. They're not brilliant musicians, they're competent. But, you know, these guys are trailblazers, so I'm not going to take anything away from anything these guys play on this record. It's a bit, the lyrics are a bit, I can't speak Polish, but the English translations of the song titles and lyrics are a bit cheesy. They seem to have a lot of time, a lot of the songs seem to be attacking the Russian monarchy on the Tsar. You got the Tsarina's warm pubes, Call of the Blood, Wine and Sex, Knights of the Lusty Queen, in the temples of pleasure. Let's have a look. Laugh, sex, dance, the play lasts, taste revenge, make us glad. Sharp taste of whip excites the taste as blood flows from open wounds. the master of suffering, Marquis de Sade, saw the taste and desire in blood and pain. Yeah, it's kind of, it's dark, it's a bit BDSM kinky, but it's very enjoyable, and I do like this album lots. I forgive it its many foibles, I forgive its kind of artwork, I forgive its kind of cheesy lyrics, I forgive the kind of dodgy production, purely because these guys were trailblazers. So, this is still available. Occasionally it comes up on sort of like the small European labels that do reissues of it. So, you can get this on CD. I have it on digital download as well to possess the ancient vinyl. And, yeah. One to check, one for the metal kind of obscuritists. Yeah, Destroyers, A Night of the Lusty Queen. Well, I'd say it's a good album, but I'll say it's a very, very interesting and collectible album. Okay, next up, from obscure Polish metal to some relatively obscure Scottish metal. Here we go, there's the front. This is 2015's The Price of Democracy by Scottish band Sons of L. There's the front. There's the back. Yeah, it's only a little booklet there. Now, Sons of L are a two-piece band. They're out of Edinburgh, and they do kind of play live, but they have kind of additional members join them for live performances. That's how come I know them. I've got a mate called Paddy, lives up in, well, he actually has moved out to Fife now, but he used to live in Edinburgh, and he's got a mate called Alistair, and Alistair's one of these guys, plays with Sons of L live, although he's not on the album. Now, this lot, prog metal, Celtic tinged. There's actually no bagpipes on this album, but you'd expect a bagpipe to come wading through occasionally. It's overall, it's not the greatest record on earth, but it's no slouch either. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Yeah, Scott Hanley does the vocals and all the guitars. A guy called Ant Throman does the is the drummer. Yeah, Mr. Hanley's, it's a tasty guitarist. He can pen a good song. He's not got a bad voice. Tracks on here like I Won't Change, La Femme Ombres, Optical Choreography is probably my favourite cut on here. Elemental, Glory of the Great White, all good stuff. It's kind of, you know, there's hints of Maiden, but also I'll say there's hints of Runrig in here. Overall, pretty good. I don't know if this album's still available. Like I said, I just got sent this by their live, but I think the bass player Alistair does with them live. I just got sent this down by Alistair, and yeah, I don't know anything else they've recorded, if anything, but you know, it's so it comes out in 2015. You might still be able to find a copy. Interesting one to check out. Yeah, The Price of Democracy by Sons of L. Not bad. Okay, next up, gonna go for more vinyl, and we'll have this. Change of gear. There's the front. This is, of course, Third Stage by Boston from 1986. There's the back. Massive inner sleeve here, with loads and loads and loads of album notes from Tom Scholz about the recording of the album. Makes a very interesting read. I'm not going to go through it all today, I haven't got time, but if you can get hold of a copy of this, I think the CD copy's got it all on there as well. Gives some very detailed recording notes of how this album came together, which I will cover briefly in a minute. And then this side you have a Boston logo on a black sleeve and lyric sheet there. Now I could remember. Now I got into Boston 1976. I was about 13 years old. More on the Feeling came out. It massive hit in the US, kind of loosely dented the bottom end of the British charts, and yeah, I quite liked it. A few years later, I got the album and the follow-up, Don't Look Back, and then in about 1981, Don't Look Back's 1978, 79, 1980, 81. There was a little thing in music press, the Sounds or Kerrang or something, saying Boston are going into the studio to work on their next album. It should be out within the year. Then nothing. Basically, this album was 8 years in the making. A thing that's Boston's followed ever since. After those first two albums, Boston aren't exactly a band or a project, to be given the proper name, that rush release stuff. Because basically Boston in the studio is effectively Tom Scholz, the guitarist, and Tom Scholz, the guitarist, and sometimes he pulls in the drummer, and the vocalist. Brad Delph, the late great Brad Delph, sings on this one. And yeah, now working on his own kind of how to make a record in 8 years. Basically, there was problems with tapes, there was problems with machinery. There was kind of trying to work it. He invented the Rockman belt guitar amp so he could kind of play from the control room with the speaker in the sound room. Determined not to use keyboards on this album at all. He developed ways of primitive guitar synths, ways of kind of making, by kicking amps with dodgy reverb springs to make them sound like thunder claps. And the sleeve notes in here make for really interesting reading of how the album was recorded, and it's a good album. I wouldn't like to say it's my favourite Boston album, but I'm always hard pushed to pick between the three. Cuts on here like Call the Engines, To Be a Man, Can't You Say, Holly Ann, Still in Love, all really good stuff. It ranges from kind of, your kind of typical sort of like American soft rock power ballads to some really kind of, on tracks like Call the Engines, really quite rocky stuff. Also on tracks like To Be a Man, verging into prog rock in places. Tom Scholz, his guitar work on here is amazing. Is just, he is a great talented musician. Brad Delph's vocals, again, brilliant. And a guy called John Masdia is the drummer. Although Tom Scholz plays some of the drums himself. Yeah, overall a cracking album. One for all the AOR fans out there, and one for just people that like just great music. And again, love the artwork on here. Again, the continuation of that Boston spaceship, but this time docking with a giant pipe organ mothership. Yeah, good stuff. Highly recommended. Okay, for something big and famous, or a band that's big and famous, or a band that's quite obscure, and something to shock. This is Blood, the Natural Lubricant by Johnny Depp. Yeah, American hardcore outfit. Obviously take their name from the thing about kind of, I may be straight, but I'll give Johnny Depp one if I had the chance, because he's a sexy man. This one, there's the front, there's the back. Got a sticker there from some record shop in Birmingham. The missus won't let me take it off, so it stays. Johnny Depp's midriff on the disc. Nothing behind there. And yeah, there's the thing. This is primarily lyrics. Primarily lyrics about wanting to have gay sex with Johnny Depp. Now, Gay for Johnny Depp became, through this album and the one before it, I can't remember the name, well, it's actually an EP, not a full-blown album, have become queercore icons. If you don't know, queercore is gay friendly, or gay produced, LGBT plus Q plus, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm no good with acronyms. But anyway, from the gay community, and their kind of take on hardcore and punk, bands in that genre, Pansy Division, etc. We've got a couple of there's a great Bristol band, the Spunking Octochokes, are absolutely amazing. But anyway, the band themselves have never actually came out. They just did their thing and let everyone conject, as far as I'm aware. If they did come out and you know Gay for Johnny Depp, please let me know. But basically, this album's become a queercore classic. There's, say, 6 cuts on here. Every single one of them is about, sort of like wanting to do rude things one night with Johnny Depp. Hey Sailor, No Teeth, Thumbs Up, Sex in Your Mouth, Nothing Worse Than a Whining Boy, Shh, and Put the Shiv to My Throat, and Fucking Isn't Cheating. All these songs are fairly short, they're fairly to the point, these are fairly hardcore. You've got a screamy vocalist, you've got the band thrashing the Good for the Roses out of their instruments, and making a glorious noise. Yeah, not much else to say. It's a great queercore album, it's a great hardcore album, it's a great punk album, and it's loud, it's nasty, it's in your face, it's offensive, and it's great. Yeah, Blood, the Natural Lubricant, Gay for Johnny Depp. Good stuff. Okay, next up, we'll have another bit of another CD. There's the front. There's the back. This is Motion Fever by a guy called b.d.Gottfried, a Canadian singer-songwriter. Yeah, if I open this up, there's the nice pastoral outer sleeve. There's the nice inner thing on the digipack. On here you have the Rocket Flight Operations Manual, which is basically the booklet. There's b.d.Gottfried himself. And the rest of this is just lyrics overall. Little bit of credit on the end is there. Oh no, the credits are done by tracks, yeah. Alright, So b.d.Gottfried is out of the is Canadian. He's a soft rock singer-songwriter, alternative. No, not soft rock. That's a bad word. Alternative rock singer-songwriter. A guy that I just stumbled on by accident. I got sent a Engineer Records, I think it was, just sent me a big one of these record labels. I don't hear from them for years. All of a sudden, I just get a massive box with their back catalogue in it for the last couple of years. And this arrived 2015, I believe. And I gave this a listen, and I really liked it. I said the guys, it's kind of alternative rock, but it's quite quirky with it. He's got a fantastic kind of turn of lyrics to him. Musically, the guy's pretty damn fine as well. He can like play the guitar and tinkle on the keyboards, and got not a bad voice. But like I said, but it's the songwriting that makes this guy stand out. You got is it quiet? Tracks like Quietus, Waste and Want, Purgatory, Shudder, Reckless Little Wonder, and what makes this album for me is a cut called Sociopathic Traffic. It was a single off this album, and it's the accompanying video is absolutely to die for. All animated, psychopathic girlfriends, kind of people ripping up paintings, and you know, people chasing buses on motor scooters, crashing over cliffs. It was like the video's up on YouTube. Just put in b.d.Gottfried Sociopathic Traffic and you'll see it. The rest of the album is equally as fine, and so this did quite well in their album of the year for 2015. So yeah, nothing more to say really. Just a good album, worth listening to, worth checking out. I still see I still keep in touch with BD. I still follow him from afar. So this is probably still available. So go check it out. Okay, next up, we're going back to vinyl, and we're going to go live. Thor live in Detroit. There's the front. There is the back. No inner sleeve or anything on this. Now, what can I say about Thor? Yarn Milky Thor. Basically, the guy's Canadian, and the guy used to be a bit of a bodybuilder. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, the guy was a bit of a bodybuilder, a bit of a strongman, and he was also a big metal fan. He decided to combine his two loves of heavy metal and strongmanisms into his stage act, and the result was he formed a band named after himself, and yeah, became a bit infamous in the 1980s. String of albums, of which this is one of his early ones, where and the tours he did as well. He toured the world effectively, and as you can see, he bent iron bars with his teeth and around his neck. He blew up hot water bottles until they burst. Another trick he used to do, he used to have his guitarist on a harness. It's Steve Price, the guitarist, and he would pick him up by this handle on his back and hold him above his head as he soloed. It's very, very entertaining. The music is as cheesy as a bag of Whatsits, or Cheetos if you're listening in the States. It's all about Viking gods. You've got Let the Blood Run Red, which has let the blood run red, let them all be dead. No one shall oppose the Metal Avenger. Thunder on the Tundra, where they're summoned by the goddess to torpedo across the ice and kill the whatever it is. Knock 'em down, knock them down, punch their silly faces to the ground. Yeah, and then the final cut, when gods collide, the seas will arise, the skies will explode when gods collide. That's where it's coming from. It's cheesy, but it's great. It's kind of, it doesn't take itself seriously. It is just a load of fun. This is kind of like a comic book version of Man of War. This is just kind of every cliched 80s metal wet dream you could think of. Downside of this album is the flow. So it's a live album recorded in I can't remember exactly where it was, but somewhere in Detroit, back in about 1985, 86, 85, 84, 85, around about then. And the flow is broken up by the fact that he seems to, old John, Milky Thor here, seems to want to announce where what label his albums are out on every territory in the world. And considering he was one of these guys that used to license his albums to different labels in different territories, listing record labels in front of an heavy metal audience does tend to break up the flow of the album. But that's a little aside. Overall, yes, very enjoyable. I never saw Thor live myself, but a couple of mates of mine did on one of his visits to England. And having played in this album, they say this sums up what the guy was about. It's enjoyable, it's fun, it's in your face, it's not to be taken seriously, and it's just good stuff. Don't know if this is still available. I don't even know if Thor's still going. I know he did a couple of more serious rock albums after this kind of Viking strongman period, but and he took up acting a bit, did some B movies, but beyond that I couldn't tell you. But this and a couple of his solo albums are quite good as well. So the studio albums, sorry. So yeah, Thor live in Detroit, fun. Put it that way, fun. Okay, next up, reach for a CD. And something quite modern. This came out about a year back. Yeah. There's the front. There's the back. There's the disc. And here's the booklet, because I get a fold out thing. There's the inner sleeve, there's the back there. There's the lyrics. Now, Dorja. These are a pan-national, all-girl hard rock metal band. So have a look. You've got A.M. Almos on vocals, Rosie Bottrell and Holly Henderson's on guitar, Becky Baldwin, who I'll come to in a minute, on bass, and a guy called lass called Anna Miley on drums. Now, this lot were, I don't know how these guys got together. They're based in LA and London, although members come from, I think they've got a couple of they've got American, a Canadian, two of them are English, and one of them I think is from Belgium. They kind of this is their debut EP, Target Practice. They do kind of, there's an album after this, and then they were preparing another album before all this COVID hit, and I don't know what happened to them. But overall, Dolga are a great band. These are the Vixen and the Girl School of the new generation. I got to know these guys through bass player Becky Baldwin. She's a Bristol lass. She's an old friend of mine. I've known her for years, through the music scene. Very, very talented woman. One of the best. Not saying this because she's a bass player, a female bass player, but I'm just saying she's one of the best bass players in Britain. Full stop, regardless of her gender. She's plays a customised Rickenbacker called the Rickenbecky. She can out Lemmy. She can out Steve Harris. She can out Susie Miss Quattro. Tends to change bands quite a lot. Since I've known her, she's been in Control of Storm. She's currently in Fist. Plays with Dorja as well. She was in a band called the Baronesques. I Destroy, Bristol feminist punk band. She tends to kind of get bored and move on quickly, does Becky. But you know, it's her prerogative. She's a very, very in demand bass person as a not as a sort of like session player and that kind of thing. So you know, more power to her. You know, I mean, I'll do it if I had the chance. But yeah, cracking album. If you can imagine bands like Vixen, this is the kind of wicket they're coming off. Only 4 tracks on this. Everyone's a pretty bit of a winner. Favourite cut, the title track, Target Practice, like Fire, Not in Your Shadow and Reaching Out are also great songs. Seen them live a few times. Absolutely amazing live performance. These girls can rock like bastards. I was going to say bitch then, but that'll be a bit sexist. But yeah, cracking band. Keep an eye out for these guys. I'm not going to say they're going to be big, because normally me saying a band deserving to be huge is normally the kiss of death to a project. But yeah, check them out. They're good. Dorja, and this is the Target Practice EP, their debut release. Okay, next up, a bit of vinyl. Actually, I've got a bit of a cough, bit of a tickle in my throat. So this is not sponsored by Fisherman's Friends. I buy these myself. Although I do recommend Fisherman's Friends for chesty coughs and that there. I'm a smoker, I shouldn't be, but yeah. Fisherman's Friends, help me. Yeah. And they come from Fleetwood, you know. Anyway, Bon Jovi, or Bon Jovi, however you want to pronounce it. Bon Jovi? I don't know. It's one of these bands that kind of everyone seems to, depending on what side of the pond you're on, everyone has a slightly different pronunciation. How do you pronounce it? Put it in the comments down below. This is their debut album from 1984. And this is the one Bon Jovi album I really like. You know, 7,800 Fahrenheit's not bad. They began to bore me when Slippery When Wet came out. You know, those of you that know me know I don't do the big commercial stuff that much unless it's exceptionally good. And Slippery When Wet, it's got its moments, but overall I found it a bit of a kind of pandering to the MTV audience. Not saying this album isn't commercial as well, but I began to lose interest, and after that, yeah, I got a few odd singles and that, but never really got any of the albums. But this one, when it came out, I heard the cut, Shot Through the Heart. Shot through the heart when you lay there alone in the dark. It's all part of a game that we call love. Tommy Vance, or was it Fluff Freeman played it? One of the two. I went, bloody hell, that's good. And then a friend of mine played me the album. Within a week or two, I had my own copy here. Yeah, it's got all the hallmarks of classic Bon Jovi stuff. It's got it is a commercial album. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. It's got the big kind of sort of like stadium rock anthems, Runaway Roulette, so Shot Through the Heart, You Don't Know Me, Burning for Love, Get Ready, Come Back. All big air punchy stadium rockers. it's got that kind of 80s production on it, but there's a rawness about this album that the other ones they lost rapidly. There's a hunger here. This is a band that were, when this album was recorded, were relatively unknown outside the kind of northeastern United States live circuit, and yeah, these guys want to be rock stars, and they're going to prove it on this album, and they throw their balls into it. The result is an album that, although commercial, rocks like a bastard. It's a great album. It's listenable. I still drag this one out occasionally and play it for my own listening pleasure. And I do have some of the later albums that I use for DJ purposes. You know, people, occasionally I do private parties and that. Bon Jovi songs are pretty frequently asked for, but the others only come out for DJ purposes. This one comes out for pleasure. That's what I'm trying to say. Just a great album. John Bon Jovi there. Vocals on fine fiddle. Bands like Richie Sambora and the rest of the guys kind of doing damn fine live performances, damn fine studio performances behind him. Yeah, nothing more much to say. Bon Jovi from 1984. My opinion, still the best album this band's ever done. Okay, let's have another classic. ELO's Out of the Blue. There we go, there's the front, there's the back, and here's the booklet. That reproduces the what was on the inner sleeve, on the gatefold of the original album, because this was originally a double album set. And then band photos of Mick Kaminsky, the violin player there, and album credits, lyrics, etc. 1978, 79 was this? 77. Wow. Now, I'm a bit of an ELO fan. And I've got one person to blame for that, and his name was Tony Gibbs. I was at school when ELO were at their height in the late 70s, sorry. And I don't know, it just seemed that nearly every week we were going on school trips, or, you know, I did a couple of school holidays, and, you know, you went outward bound camping, and school was into that kind of thing, always doing trips to museums or, you know, kind of interesting places. And as always happens, you'll get a gang of us at the back of the coach with I don't even think it was a ghetto blaster. I think it was one of the old-fashioned mono flatbed tape decks, and albums on cassette, and we'll be putting them in. And, you know, there'll be people into punk and people into the kind of, you know, glam stuff, and people into the disco. We used to try and take it in turns, to be fair. But when ELO came on, especially this album will get the whole bus singing, including at times the teachers. ELO were a band that kind of transcended genres. They having the string section gave them a kind of, you know, like one teacher was very into classical music, but he liked ELO because they're interesting use of stringed instruments. You had the kind, it was rock enough for the rockers, it was poppy enough for the poppers, it was just a proggy enough for the prog rockers. It was just a great album that just brought people together, and I think that was what made ELO, that and their amazing sort of production and sound and live performances, made ELO the kind of band they were back in the day. I have most of the ELO albums. This one I dragged out because it just happened to be on the side, because I've been playing it recently. I said originally on vinyl, so I brought this on CD to replace my knackered, very worn out vinyl, so it's still in the racks there somewhere. Overall, it was a double album set, and you've got the first two sides, which consist of cuts like Turn to Stone, Sweet Talking Woman, Stepping Out, Believe Me Now, Night in the City, all of which are pretty damn fine tracks, are kind of just the standard rock album. Then on side 3, which is tracks 10 to 13 on the CD here, you got the Concerto for the Rainy Day, which is a kind of little bit of a concept work that starts with Standing in the Rain, goes on through Big Wheel, Summer and Lightning, and ends up with the legendary Mr. Blue Sky, which I know is probably their best known track, but it's one that I do play from time to time, primarily when I do live DJ sets, just like the Thunderbolt in Bristol. That's my closer, that's my end of the evening shutdown number, because it's one that everybody kind of can get up and have a party to. And then it carries on for the third side, Sweet is the Night Wail, and then the double whammy at the end, Birmingham Blues and Wild West Heroes. Birmingham Blues is one of my favourite ELO tracks, full stop. It's when I used to be on Radio Satan, I used it for one of the programmes I used to present on there. I used to have a character called Blobby Eddie, and he did a kind of series of documentaries about the development of the West Midlands music scene, and because he was a bit of rocker that had been around since the early days of the Applejacks, like, you know, and was still into it now. And so he presented a kind of history of music from the West Midlands, and Birmingham Blues was the theme for that series of programmes. I don't do the accent comedy stuff anymore, but unfortunately, 'cause I miss doing it. But that's a side story. Anyway, an amazing album. One that this album's been with me since it came out in 1977 in various formats. First of all, it was a tape that I taped off a mate. He taped it off for me, and I taped a couple of Status Quo albums off from him in return. Then I got the vinyl. The vinyl got worn out, and I got the CD, and I've also got this as an MP3 download as well, just to kind of make sure that I had extra copies floating around. Yeah, ELO, Out of the Blue, an amazing, amazing record. One that should be in everybody's collection, no matter what kind of music you're into. It's brilliant. Okay, and the final one today, and another band that's kind of, I've got most of their albums, and they're well known, but I'm surprised they haven't come out before now. But there again, I've got thousands of records knocking around the flat, so you know, I'm only lucky dipping a dozen a week, so not surprising in the end, I suppose. It's this one, Long Live Rock and Roll by Rainbow, 1978. There's the front. There is the back. Quite a naff gatefold on this. I don't know who designed that, but they should have been shot for it. You know, it's a nice crowd picture, but really bad photo touching. This is pre-Photoshop, obviously. Photo touching on the banner there. I wonder what the banner originally said. We Love Richie, maybe? And then just the lyric sheet here. Yeah, this is the third Rainbow Studio album, I think. Yeah, it would be the third, because it's Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, Rising, live on stage, and then this. Yeah, the last one to feature Ronnie James Dio on vocals. I think the only one to feature Bob Daisley on bass. Because I think, yeah, because he stepped in to replace Jimmy Bain, and then by the next album, Roger Glover was in Rainbow. The only one, the last one to feature Dave Stone on keyboards before Don Airey joined. Yeah, and Cozy Powell on drums, who did survive on one more album, Down to Earth. The next one came after this. I don't know whether this is my favourite Rainbow album or not. I really do like the first three Dio fronted albums. I don't dislike the Graham Bonnet album or the Jolene Turner ones either. I think they've got merit. You know, kind of Straight Between the Eyes is a, you know, probably it'll probably be up there as number 4 of my Rainbow albums, if not in the top 3 at times. But you know, I really do. This is a great album. It kicks off with Long Live Rock and Roll, a fantastic air punching song about the glory of rock and roll and why we all love it so much. Other highlights on here include there's Kill the King. You know, kind of brings out the kind of anti-monarchist Republican in all of us. The Lady of the Lake, LA Connection, Gates of Babylon, Sensitive to the Light, and then the last track, Rainbow Eyes, which is a beautiful, chilled out kind of acoustic guitar and cello number. Just kind of drifts on at the end of the album, and just kind of, you know, if the first side of it, the first couple of tracks of this album, kind of, which is like Long Live Rock and Roll, Lady of the Lake, kind of kick you up the arse and get your head banging around the room, at the end of the album, Rainbow Eyes just makes you want to lay down with a nice glass of something and just relax. Great album. I said I won't go as far as to say they never did anything quite this good afterwards, because like I said, I really do like Straight Between the Eyes, and even the other albums like Bent Out of Shape and Down to Earth have their moments. But overall, this is one of those albums I keep coming back to, and yeah, Rainbow, Long Live Rock and Roll, Long Live Rock and Roll, great album. Add it to your collection, love it, you will not regret. So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed. Hope there's nothing too controversial this week. Yeah, I must be slacking. I'll try and pick up some controversy for next week. But anyway, if you want to give me feedback, let me know your opinions of the said records that I've talked about. You know, answer me this: were Gay for Johnny Depp pure queercore, or were they just bent for the rent? You know, are Dorja the new front of all-girl rock bands? Does it matter that they're an all-girl rock band when they're just a great band in general? Answers in the comments below, which is down there on YouTube, it's over there on Facebook, and yeah, so until next week, peeps, don't forget to check out the radio shows, again, details down there and over there, and until next week, peeps, I do love every single last one of you, and I'm out of here. Bye.